All right, everybody, welcome to Allam Legal, the hottest place on the internet for your legal and policy shenanigans. All right, so first up here, we've got some sovereign citizen videos to review, and I'm going to give you my commentary on what I think about these situations.
I don't understand what you're saying. I don't speak your language, I only speak man to man.
We're in Green Bay, Wisconsin, where 22-year-old Ryan Desmith and 24-year-old Jordan Salmi are appearing on gun possession charges. 3 weeks earlier, the men attended a church Christmas pageant armed with loaded semi-automatic pistols. Desmith and Salmi are members of what's called the Hebrew Israelite community, along with former Green Bay Packer Kabir Baja Biamila, known as KGB. KGB was involved in a dispute with his ex-wife over his religious objections to their children appearing in the pageant. He asked the men to film the event in his absence for evidence. Desmith and Salmi refused to leave when church leaders asked. Police arrived and charged them both with disorderly conduct, obstructing an officer, and carrying a concealed weapon. Today, they're at the Brown County Court for a first appearance on the charges. And they're not going to make things easy for County Court Commissioner Cynthia Vopal.
Did you get my notice?
Clear notice, sir?
I'm not a sir.
I'm gonna have a seat.
Have a seat, please.
The notice.
So he's already started off really poorly. Have you gotten my notice? You know, the proceeding has yet to begun because the judge has yet to order anybody to speak. So when you walk into a courtroom, do not say anything at all until you sit down and hear the judge tell you to present whatever the judge is asking you to present.
That Desmith asks about is one of a series of handwritten notes he and Salmi filed, which claim they're not part of the legal society and quote, idiots before the court. Their list of demands includes $300,000, no jail time, and various apologies and retractions. The commissioner moves on.
Do you plan on hiring an attorney?
I don't understand what you're saying. I don't speak your language, I only speak man to man.
Okay. I'm going to enter not guilty pleas on your behalf.
If you enter a plea on my behalf, you will be held fully liable.
And you will have these cases, you will...
And she's trying to do him a solid here because she can already see that, like, he's not in his right mind, not making a good decision. So she's like, all right, I'm just going to enter not guilty, and you can talk with your public defender about it. But, you know, he's not going to have that. He thinks that he's above the law.
We will be then sending this case upstairs.
Desmith's defiance and language are similar to courtroom strategies of the sovereign citizen movement, which claims that state courts hold no jurisdiction over them.
Who are you?
I am the court commissioner. I'm in charge of hearing this introductory hearing in the court.
Who are you?
She just answered the question, sir.
Sir, we don't have time for this. I have a courtroom full of people.
I'm not a sir.
The hearing ends when Desmith refuses to sign his bond paperwork.
Either sign this or we're gonna mark it as refused.
I deny service.
Okay, refused, and then you can leave. Okay, you're done here.
Goodbye.
On his way out, he fist bumps his supporters, including KGB, who's watching from the gallery. The court has even less time for Salmi's dissent, which lasts only 30 seconds.
Oh, wow, I was not expecting this. So it's going to be a whole group of them. They're all going to do this? Oh, boy. This judge is going to lose her patience very quickly.
For I, man Jordan Salmi, am in a state of man, now passing forward. I'm not a
Let me take him in.
You can leave. I'm asking you to leave. Is that an order? Leave, please.
5 months later, despite more disruptive court appearances, Desmith and Salmi's obstructing and disorderly charges were dismissed as part of a plea agreement. They were sentenced to 1 year of probation for carrying a concealed weapon and banned from owning firearms in that time. They also had to write letters of apology to officers at the scene of the incident.
So yeah, they probably had a public defender sit down with them and tell them the realities of their situation, right? And typically on minor offenses, the prosecutor's office is more than happy to negotiate a lower plea because they have murder cases to deal with and like really serious criminal cases. So they were probably more than happy to write these apology letters after they realized when they got sent back to the jail cell that, you know, they are being held without bond because they refused it. And so, yeah.
You don't interrupt the judge, whether you're a flat earther or not.
I'm not flat earth, sir.
All right, well, this crazy stuff you're saying, I've got very little patience for it.
Next, we go to Centerville, Michigan for a preliminary hearing. 66-year-old Rosalind Keenan has been charged with resisting and obstructing a police officer and driving with a suspended license.
And that is such a common charge with these sovereign citizen characters, is driving without a with a suspended license, right? Because they think that if they sign up and get a license that they're somehow admitting themselves to the United States jurisdiction. But being born here, you know, you got paperwork, you know, when you were born with your birth certificate. I mean, you signed up to citizenship just by being born here. And you could probably go somewhere else if you wanted to and reject your citizenship. But guess what? As long as you're within United States borders, you can be brought up within the United States' jurisdiction for a criminal offense.
The resisting and obstructing charge, a felony, is punishable by up to 2 years in prison, while driving with a suspended license, a misdemeanor, could land her in jail for an additional 93 days. Keenan is free on $10,000 bond, and today she appears without an attorney before Judge Jeffrey Middleton to discuss next steps in the case.
Are you Rosalind Ray Keenan?
I'm here as a sui juris and propria persona, Rosalind Ray family of Keenan, beneficiary.
Keenan appears to be making a sovereign citizen argument by refusing to identify herself to the judge.
I'm here under fraud, menace, and duress.
Judge Middleton checks in with the state prosecutor, David Marvin.
Mr. Marvin, is there a plea offer here?
What I would do is offer an attempt resisting and obstructing and dismiss count 2.
Keenan is
Right, and like I said earlier, the prosecutors, they don't want to deal with this nonsense because this is a stupid petty crime, so they're like, all right, we'll take off one of the charges if they admit guilt to the rest of them. And, you know, she's probably going to have nothing of it because she thinks she's above the law.
free on $10,000 bond, and today she appears without an attorney before Judge Jeffrey Middleton to discuss next steps in the case.
Are you Rosalind Ray Keenan?
I'm here as a sui juris and propria persona, Rosalind Ray family of Keenan,
Is there a plea offer here?
What I would do is offer an attempt resisting and obstructing and dismiss count 2. And if there's no other incidents with law enforcement or any other reason to continue, I would dismiss this.
What would you like to do?
Are you asking me to take a plea?
I'm asking you if you're willing to accept the prosecutor's plea offer.
I don't understand that.
Mr. Marvin, let's just put
I'm not
on
playing games. I'm serious.
You are playing games, and first of all,
I'm
you don't.
trying to advance.
All right,
to
stop.
here.
You don't interrupt the judge, whether you're a flat earther or not.
I'm not flat earth.
All right, well, this crazy stuff you're saying, I've got very little patience for it. You don't have an attorney, which concerns me because these charges could result in your incarceration.
May I ask what jurisdiction is this, civil or criminal?
This is a criminal case, which points out the fact that you could use a lawyer if you can't tell the difference between a civil and a criminal case.
I have to know the jurisdiction. This court is operating under
Stop.
Sixth Amendment grants me the right to know the jurisdiction being applied.
All right, stop. If you interrupt me one more time, I'm gonna find you in contempt and you're gonna go to jail.
Objection, please.
All right, I find that you're in contempt. You're
I do
going
not
to
wish-
jail.
Oh wow, this judge really was not playing with her at all, because I was not expecting him to send her to jail. I was expecting him to do some kind of adjournment and then make sure she got in contact with the public defender, but he really wanted to set the line that he is not playing here and that he does have jurisdiction over her, and it is not her prerogative right now to be making silly arguments before him.
I'm simply
matter
trying
is
to
adjourned until
exercise my
tomorrow at
Sixth
3
Amendment
o'clock.
rights, please.
So you can think about it.
Okay, so he does adjourn this. So actually, he kind of does what I expected, and so he's going to give her a night in jail to think about this.
Or a
Go
night in
forward
jail.
with this right now, please.
No, you're going to
I do
jail
not
for
wish to be
24
in
hours.
contempt.
I know you don't wish to go to jail, but you certainly
I will
earned it.
continue with this if you please let me finish.
We'll talk about it tomorrow, and you will be more respectful to the court.
I
You
can
will speak-
provide the
You will not
citation.
interrupt the court. Your citations are meaningless.
I'm sorry I
So you
interrupted
can
you.
go
If you wanna
with the
continue-
officer. I don't want to argue about it. Take
I'm
her
not
out of here. We will address this tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
The next day, after spending a night in jail, Keenan returns to court, but with a very different demeanor.
Would you like me to appoint an attorney for you?
Yes,
All right, I'm going to appoint an attorney.
thank you.
Keenan was released from jail, and Judge Middleton scheduled a follow-up hearing. The case is pending.
Yeah, you would think that they would get a clue that if this sovereign citizen stuff was real, that there would not be all of these incarcerated people in prison. Like, do you think that these people just forgot to make an argument before the court? Come on now.
We head to Southfield, Michigan for a pretrial hearing. 56-year-old Michael Harris has been charged with driving with a suspended license. After spending a day in jail, he posted a $150 bond and was released.
City of Southfield versus Michael Harris.
Today, Harris appears before Judge Sheila Johnson to review his charges. He appears without an attorney and, from the start, seems to be uncooperative.
Mr. Harris, would you please come to the podium?
I challenge jurisdiction.
Mr. Harris, I need you to step to the podium.
If I step
And again, you can properly challenge jurisdiction. That is a motion that can be made in the court, but you cannot do it in this kind of manner, right? There is a procedure and there is a level of decorum when you walk into court. If she's asking you to proceed to the podium, proceed to the podium first. And then see what she has to say, and then you could potentially counter with your legal argument or pseudo-legal argument. But the point there being is that you are just choosing to not even follow basic decorum within the courtroom.
the podium may be under threat, duress, coercion.
Well, fine, just do it.
Okay, no problem. But I'm here, I'm at the podium under threat, duress, and coercion. Other than that, I challenge jurisdiction.
Okay?
Without prejudice, I, Mikael Eric Colin Harris, beneficiary and sovereign principal, am here under fraud, threat, duress, coercion, and extortion fiduciary, Ms. Sheila Johnson.
Harris has begun arguing in a style similar to sovereign citizens, a group who believe certain laws don't apply to them.
I'm not stopping you from challenging it.
Do you accept the challenge?
I don't know what you mean by accept the challenge.
Do you accept that this is a maritime admiralty law?
No,
You don't accept that?
this has nothing to do with admiralty stuff. This is simply a charge that you're here for.
Yeah, but
It's nothing to do with the sea, vessels, or anything like that.
And that's what's ridiculous about these arguments is I've heard that argument before from many sovereign citizens. And you can look up the U.S. Code section for Admiralty law. It's there. It's about boats and ships. It has nothing to do at all with a court of criminal jurisdiction within a state.
Which are boats. Admiralty law applies to that.
Yes.
This right here is a driving a car offense.
The judge tries to get back on track by explaining the severity of Harris's charges.
And it's a 93-day misdemeanor carrying up to $500 fine, and it carries a possible suspension of your driver's license, additional points to your driver's license, and possible vehicle immobilization of any vehicle that you're driving. That's what this charge is, and it's not admiralty law. You're using language that legally doesn't make sense for what we're here for.
But all this is a corporation.
Okay.
This is not a, are you saying this is not a corporation?
Sir,
I'm asking.
I have no idea what you're even talking about.
But I'm asking you a question. I mean, it is not maritime admiralty law, and also
It's not maritime law.
Is it
No.
The judge holds her ground, refusing to legitimize Harris's position.
I'm telling you what I know doesn't apply.
Right. I never said that though.
Okay.
What I said is I am a sovereign principal.
See, they think that, like, we went to law school for 3 years and then learned this secret about sovereign citizenship, and then we're just hiding this from everybody.
And I am the beneficiary.
Well, sir.
You are fiduciary.
I'm telling you that what you are, as whoever you are, is charged with today. Now, you have certain options here. You can certainly have a trial if you want a trial on whether or not you are operating.
Also, a fiduciary, by legal definition, is someone that owes financial legal duties to another person. That is not what this situation is at all, right? This is not a fiduciary relationship. Your accountant has a fiduciary relationship with you. That is not this.
A motor vehicle without a valid license from the state of Michigan because it was suspended.
I object. I've equipped you with all the information you need to show down the sovereign principle, and also to show you in your constitution, it says that I can travel.
Sir, if you want to file a motion, file a motion.
Okay,
because no one can respond to all of this. Whatever you're saying, he can't respond to it.
I motion that you.
You have to file it in writing and cite your authority under law.
I did that.
And if you want to do that, you can do that. Otherwise, we're going to have to set your case for trial.
Under a Power of Appointment Act of 1951, I appoint the judge, executive. I would like y'all not to breach a contract. I mean, breach your fiduciary duties.
Give me a jury trial date.
May 9th.
May 9th. 8:30. If you need to file a motion between now and May 9th, you better do it before the end of March.
Have a great day.
Harris has yet to officially enter a plea or file any motions. His case is pending. Next, we're in La Plata, Maryland for a jury selection. 25-year-old Delvon King is representing himself today on weapons charges after he was caught carrying a regulated firearm during a traffic stop. Just 3 months earlier, King was appearing at a preliminary hearing for the charges when he fled the courtroom and temporarily eluded police. Because of the fleeing incident, King is required to wear a remote control stun cuff on his leg while appearing.
Those are the worst clients to possibly have because they just make things worse for themselves. You know, you just ran from the court during a court hearing. What are you doing? You're trying to get a contempt charge as well?
Appearing in court. And now, as he reads a prepared argument, Stop. There seems to be another problem. At the bench is 72-year-old Robert Naley. The judge retired the previous year, but was called back part-time to hear cases. This hearing got off to a rocky start when King claimed to be a Moorish American, an offshoot of the anti-government sovereign citizen movement, and insisted his true name was not Delvon King. Now, as Judge Naley explains the jury selection process, King continues reading from his prepared argument, which questions the court's jurisdiction over him.
Stop. Mr. Sheriff, do it. Use it.
case in point for mental health issues, right? Anybody who is asserting these claims should be automatically suspect of mental health issues, because what is he doing? Screaming and crying on the floor because this guy moved the chair.
All right, I'm going to take 5. Don't when it calms down, and I'll be back. Yes, sir. 5.
In case you missed that, after King refuses to stop speaking,
Stop.
Judge Naley orders the courtroom deputy to activate the stun cuff on King's leg.
Oh, okay. I thought that I was like, why is he rolling on the floor like this, trying to cause a scene? Oh, wow.
Sheriff, do it. Use it.
The deputy calmly approaches King, who doesn't appear to see him, and slides his chair out of the way. While King writhes in pain on the courtroom floor, Judge Naley decides to exit the courtroom and take a short break.
All right.
Honestly, that seemed pretty inappropriate for the judge to do in that situation. I don't have the full context, but I mean, the guy was just standing there. You could have had the bailiff escort him out. There was really no reason to deploy a shock tool against him.
All right, I'm going to take 5. Yes, sir. 5.
Following the brief recess, Judge Naley resumed the hearing, and King continued representing himself. He later agreed to probation before judgment, meaning in his case, he was sentenced to 2 years in jail on the weapons charge, most of which he'd already served, and in return, no actual conviction would be added to his record. The same cannot be said for Judge Robert Naley. After the courtroom video was made public, the Maryland Court of Appeals immediately rescinded Naley's ability to hear cases.
All right.
He would also later be charged with a misdemeanor civil rights violation, to which he pleaded guilty, and was sent.
Good, because, yeah, that was completely inappropriate. You know, I was taken aback by that because I'm like, what? He's just standing there, and the guy, you know, he starts shocking the guy, orders the bailiff to do so, and the bailiff, it's like, you know, put 2 and 2 together. Was that really necessary? I understand the judge asked you to do it, but it was unnecessary to do. I mean, come on.
Sentenced to a year probation, ordered to take anger management classes, and pay a $5,000 fine. Following his sentence, Robert Naley was banned from the bench for life.
I'm dealing with the wolves. There's no fair trial in this military maritime courts.
Next, we're at a virtual arraignment hearing in Lenawee County, Michigan. 5 months earlier, defendant Robert Joseph Matson was pulled over for a traffic violation. Officers found cocaine and an open alcohol container. Matson was also charged with operating a vehicle on a suspended license.
All right, we are on the record then in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Robert Joseph Matson. Sir, you are Robert Joseph Matson, correct?
I am an attorney for the all caps named Robert Joseph Matson. I am living flesh and blood, human. Upper and lowercase, Robert hyphen, Joseph, space, Matson.
Matson identifies as a sovereign citizen, believes certain laws don't apply to him. Public Defender James Daly was appointed standby attorney at an earlier hearing.
And I just love the look on all of the lawyers' faces whenever these arguments are being made, because they're just like, oh man, I got one of those.
But Matson wants to represent himself.
I never asked for an attorney. I said I would be representing myself in appropriate persona. This is just one way to railroad me. That's all. Get me in your jurisdiction.
I was appointed as standby, Your Honor. Mr. Matson and I, we get along fine. He's a pleasant individual to talk to, but he wants absolutely none of my legal input. Basically, he has a theory that I don't believe is justified under the laws of the state of Michigan.
It is Matson's right to represent himself, But Judge Michael Olsaver must make sure he fully understands the consequences of that decision.
I think you're going to be at a significant disadvantage in this case if you attempt to represent yourself without a licensed attorney on the other side.
I already am. I'm dealing with the wolves. There's no fair trial in this military maritime courts.
Do you have any hesitation about the fact that you want to represent yourself?
No. No matter what you do to me, I will get out of it, and there will be lawsuits.
The judge moves on.
Now, that's a weird concept because they think that they can get out of this with a lawsuit. You are in court, and they are trying to make sure that you do not waive your rights. That judge is trying to make sure you do not waive your right to an attorney, and you are doing it in real time, crashing out. And then who are you going to sue? If you already think this is an admiralty maritime law court and they don't have jurisdiction, then who are you going to sue? What are the proper courts to sue in? This guy doesn't even know.
And ends the hearing by entering a not guilty plea on Mattson's behalf, since he refuses to enter a plea on his own. Mattson was already being held on $50,000 bond for failing to appear at an earlier hearing, so he remains in jail. A month later, at a pretrial conference, he's seemingly had a change of attitude.
James Daly on behalf of the defendant.
Mattson ditches his do-it-yourself approach and allows Daly to represent him. And that's not all he's changed his mind about.
And it's my understanding that a plea agreement has been reached.
Yes, Your Honor, it's my understanding Mr. Mattson will be pleading to count 4 attempted possession of amphetamine on the amended information that was sent to both the court and defense today.
And that's another signifier of mental health issues, right? He's on meth. So it makes sense that he probably had some time to sober up, and now he's come to his senses.
All right, Mr. Daly, is that your understanding of the plea agreement as well?
It is, Your Honor, along with the fact that Mr. Mattson would be released from custody today.
It's not part of the plea agreement, but it is something after the plea that I would have no objection to.
Mattson has a lawyer, a plea deal, and he's getting out of jail until his sentencing. Plus, his bond is being reduced to a no-fee personal recognizance bond. Judge Olsaver is ready to move on to the plea deal.
Mr. Mattson, you raise your right hand, please.
If I'm not gonna get out today, there's no deal. We got trial Friday, I'm just going to trial. I want to make sure that I'm gonna be released, so I'm not gonna take the plea today.
That's not what I said, Mr. Matt.
They just said that they were going to let him out, but he doesn't understand, man. It's so sad to watch people like this crash out in real time.
And I did say I'm agreeing to a bond reduction today, but that is separate and not contingent on a plea.
No release. Trial Friday, that's it.
Mattson doesn't realize he's getting out. He rejects the plea deal and demands a trial instead.
Mr. Mattson, there is an agreement to a bond reduction today, so.
It's a PR bond, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Now that that's cleared up, the judge proceeds, again, with Mattson's plea.
Mr. Mattson, is it your intention to plead guilty today to count 4 on the amended information, which is attempted controlled substance, attempted possession of cocaine, heroin, or another narcotic of less than 25 grams?
Under duress, yes.
Oh, the look in this judge's eyes, I can already see he's about to not accept the plea. Oh boy. Oh.
All right, I'm not going to take a plea that is on the record stated as being
Your Honor.
Mattson seems bent on undoing his new plea deal. Defendants must enter these agreements of their own free will. No coercion or duress.
He just doesn't understand. This is clearly what's going on. Is he just does not understand. Oh, he just doesn't get it.
Public Defender Daly looks exhausted. Mattson reconsiders and drops his duress claim.
So you want to move forward with your plea now?
Yeah.
How do you wish to plead then to the charge that was attempted possession of cocaine, heroin, or another narcotic of less than 25 grams?
Guilty.
Finally, Mattson makes good on his plea deal and is found guilty on the lesser drug charge. He's free on bond, awaiting sentencing.
Will you produce the document that has my signature that gives you jurisdiction? Will you produce that?
We're in Concord, New Hampshire, and the man...
Oh, this is another brand of these sovereign citizens. They think that you have to sign some kind of formal contract to sign up to jurisdiction within the United States, and whew, he's in for a rough one.
And bellowing at the judge is 85-year-old State Representative Dick Marple. A year earlier, the New Hampshire lawmaker was charged with driving after having his license suspended.
This is even more insane. He's a lawmaker. Ugh, this is the problem with our countries. We really do have too many crazy people in charge, and this is case in point.
Ended.
Please rise. Congress Supreme Court is now in session.
Today is the first day of trial, but this simple suspended license case might not be so simple after all.
State versus A. Marple.
You might notice Marple is not at the defense table, and that's because as a sovereign citizen, he does not believe the court or Judge Kristen Spath have jurisdiction over him.
Madam Magistrate.
Yes.
I am here under threat, duress, and coercion. I'm not here because of an order, because you as a magistrate cannot make an order. You can only administer ministerial duties. You have no jurisdiction to judge your own jurisdiction.
Judge Spath then calmly explains the legal steps Marple can take to contest her jurisdiction after the trial is complete.
You will have an absolute right to appeal my decision.
You have no decision because you don't have any jurisdiction. You come out with what's called an order. You can't make an order because you're not a judge.
Well, Mr. Martin,
you're acting in an administrative capacity.
I continue to disagree with you.
It is a question of the law. You either obey the law or you are in violation of your oath of office.
After taking a couple of personal shots on the chin,
and she's trying to be so kind, and she's losing her patience. You just see it in her face, like her demeanor has completely changed. She is about to hold him fully accountable.
Judge Spath once again tries to restore decorum in the courtroom.
I have two requests. One is that when I wish to speak, that you give me that courtesy. And when you wish to speak, I will do the same. As long as we continue to be discussing what is relevant to today's case.
There is no relevance to today's case because you don't have jurisdiction.
Not only does Marple argue the court lacks jurisdiction, but he also claims the state has no authority to police his driving in the first place.
RSA 382A 9-109 defines the automobile as consumer goods. Consumer goods do not have to be registered. Consumer goods do not have to have a, quote, license, unquote, in order to travel.
And speaking of driver's licenses, Marple doesn't believe in those either.
Well, none of the sovereign citizens do, and that's the problem. They think that signing up for a license consents to jurisdiction, and, you know, you have already been brought under the United States' jurisdiction no matter what you do, and the state you live in no matter what you do. But you know what? If you proceed to drive without a license, it is an offense.
License. It is a photo ID that I purchased.
Still, Marple wants his back in his wallet.
I want my property back.
All right, well, that is...
I asked for it 4 times. You refused to give it to me.
Well,
that's conversion.
All right.
That is conversion. Criminal conversion.
And finally, the state representative lays it all on the line.
All right,
There's going to be a spot for it. Are you going to recuse yourself? I asked you that.
I am not going to recuse
You're not going to recuse yourself.
I do not believe there is any valid reason for me to recuse myself. I believe that I have been fair and impartial. I can continue to be fair and impartial. We are scheduled for a trial today, and I want to let you know that the trial is going to occur today. I would urge you to participate in the trial.
I'm not participating in something that cannot exist. It is a total fraud.
The trial would proceed, but after he continues to disrupt the proceedings,
The principle is the people that I represent are being ripped off. That's what it's all about. And if you're gonna continue with this, you will be paying the penalty, I assure you.
Judge Spath simply walks out of the courtroom. State Representative Dick Marple would ultimately receive a judgment of guilt through the mail and was ordered to pay a $310 fine for driving with a suspended license.
He did all of this for $300. He did all of this and embarrassed himself for $300. This guy's a loon. Absolute loon. Hey guys, if you enjoy the content that I'm producing on this channel, please give me a like, subscribe, follow, and leave a comment below if you think that I should do content like this in the future, or if you have any recommendations of content that I should be doing in the future.